Settle down. Okay, I'm going to make things awkward. I don't believe I've caught your name. Elizabeth. I'm Paul.
Your shirt's awkward. Why does it have like a cross out? No, it isn't.
It's a good question.
It is.
Yeah. What's your name?
Dawson.
Dawson. Paul.
Brandon.
Brandon.
Yeah. Dalton.
Dalton.
Yeah.
Sorry, my fault. Back better? We'll make things really awkward. I've done forgot already. Elizabeth. Dalton.
Brandon.
Brandon. And I haven't met you either.
Joe.
Joe, good to meet you. Okay, we got Elizabeth, Joe, Brandon, Dalton. Got it.
Close it up.
Alright. Okay, so today we're finishing Gideon's story today. And as I alluded to last time, and I want to make it abundantly clear this time, that Gideon's story is an epic fail. Okay? Epic fail. Epic fail.
Is there a meme for that?
Yes.
You! There we go.
There is a meme for that, though.
The what?
There is a meme for
There's
that.
many need for that.
A meme?
Yes.
Okay.
I hope you know my question about your shirt wasn't rhetorical. Please
I
explain your
asked you about his
shirt.
shirt too.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Next week's lesson. What is his shirt?
Tune in next time. Alright, so Gideon's story is an epic fail. Alright? So, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get there now because it's going to distract you the whole time.
Yes.
Okay, so the front is no religion. Okay? Okay, the back of it says
Embrace Jesus.
embrace Jesus. Okay. From my perspective, a religion is more about programs and procedures and rituals and things that we use to try to either control God or control people. Whereas embracing Jesus is embracing what he stood for, what he did for us, dying on the cross, telling us to take up our cross and follow him. Not follow a certain set of rules and ideas, but following Christ.
The figure, not the institution.
I feel
Do
so
what?
blonde
The
right now.
figure, not the institution.
Yes, essentially. Conversation starter, as you see it works. How many questions are we going to have today? Say it. You probably say it better, explain it better than I can.
Last question then, lesson.
No, she said religion. It's not a religion. Christianity is not a religion, it's a religion.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Are we past it? Are we? Holy shit.
Yes.
You know the
Where did you
first
get
three
it?
numbers in the square root of pi?
Do what?
Do you know the first three numbers in the square root of pi?
3.14.
No, the square root.
Where the first three numbers inform me, please.
1.77. There you go.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's so
educated.
That's
interesting.
fantastic.
Yeah, you got it wrong.
I'm glad you're here. That's genuine. Okay. All right. So, epic fail, as is this message. Okay. So, we're used to when we go to the Bible and read the Bible, we're used to stories that have women and men of great faith, right?
Nope.
Like Elijah and his showdown on Mount Carmel. All right. So, is anybody familiar with that story? Elijah, what he did, what happened? Okay, sweet, we got a few. All right, very quickly, here's what happened. He called out the prophets of Baal and said, okay, here's what I want you to do. I think you guys are all crackpots and you're crazy. and so here's what's happening. I want you to pray to your God, and you tell him to call down fire from heaven, and then I'm going to pray to my God and call down fire from heaven, and we're going to see what happens and who's right and who's real.
Oh my
Okay?
goodness. Those things.
So, here's what happens, and he says, you know what? I'll be a gentleman, I'll let you go first. Okay, so they're out there and they're praying and they're doing their stuff and they're shouting and singing and dancing and doing all this, and Elijah's sitting over there just waiting. Nothing's happening. And so they're getting a little antsy and they're starting to dance a little bit more and they're starting to yell a little bit louder. And he says, yeah, that's a good idea. Jump up and down more, wave your arms. Maybe he fell asleep. You need to wake him up. Get loud about it. Good job. Way to go. And then nothing's happening. And he's still waiting. And then the people start doing some crazy stuff. They start cutting their arms and they're bleeding and they're doing all this weird stuff. Weird stuff, okay? And Elijah's like, all right. I don't know what we got going on here, but okay. Keep at it. Keep going. Maybe he just needs a little more time. Maybe he's using the bathroom right now. And then he'll come and, oh, no. No, don't do that. You're going to hurt yourself. Okay. And he's waiting, and nothing's happening. And they're doing all their stuff and going crazy. And time passes. And finally they give up. Elijah comes, and he's praying. And before he even says, gets amen finished out of his mouth, fire comes down, scorches the earth, evaporates all the water out, and just crazy stuff like that. And the cow's burned up, and the sacrifice is gone. And God proves himself to be real. God proves himself to be true.
Well, dang.
And then Elijah prays because there had been a drought, and he prays, and a little cloud comes, and the cloud grows into a great storm, and rain comes and fills the land with water. So Elijah, people like this, great men of faith, did fantastic things. We're used to reading about those stories in the Bible. So much so that a friend of mine and I, when we were in school, read that story and thought that was a great idea. No. I was going to be Elijah and he was going to be the prophet. No. But we thought it was a great idea, and so we had what we called like Wiccans in our school, and they were picking on some of my people. We had a little Bible study, and I had some freshmen I took under my wing, and they were picking on my people, and so I wanted to stand up for them. So a friend of mine and we decided, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the Elisha thing. So we went to them. And we said, all right, 3:30, parking lot. Okay? You and your coven and your little witch books and all that, you come and you say your spells and dangle your little things or whatever and do your stuff, and then you try to pick up a car. Okay? And then my friend and I will pray, and then we'll pick up the car. Guess what happened?
Pick up the car.
Nobody picked up the car.
They didn't show up.
I think you won.
Evidently, they weren't as serious as these prophets of Baal who were doing the crazy stuff with cutting their arms and shaving the left side of their mustache and stuff like that. Weird stuff.
Just the left side.
Weird. So weird stuff. Weird stuff, Dalton. Crazy. Okay. So we were there and they didn't show up, and we're like, all right, well, I want to do something anyways. Let's go ahead and pray and pick this car up. So we did. We prayed. Him and I grabbed the front end of the car and we picked it up to our waist.
No.
Seriously. Now I know what you're thinking. Okay.
Was it a toy car?
Guy like me and maybe like someone like Ian. He's not here, but
You're not home.
couple stout guys. But I'm talking about in school.
You had Hulk Hogan.
All right. I was like 140 pounds.
Whoa.
Mark Henry.
Small guy. Okay. My friend was.
Joe.
What's your name? Joe. Joe. Stand up, Joe. This is what my friend looked like. Okay. You can sit down now.
Chair.
Thanks.
Pray you for chair.
Thanks. All right. So we picked up. We prayed and we picked up that car, and we thought that was pretty cool. That was really cool. And then we went home. Well, so that's my story. That was our big showdown, and that's what we think of when we see what Gideon does. We think that Gideon's going to have a certain similar circumstance, that he's going to have the same kind of faith that Elijah had, and these things, and we almost see that in here. And when we look at chapter 6, verse 36, It says, then Gideon said to God, if you will save Israel by my hand, as you have said. Now, does anybody remember what Gideon had issues with from last time?
No, it's been too long.
What he thought of his identity? Anyone able to remember? Okay, he said that, God said that you're a mighty man of valor, and he said, not me, because I'm the smallest in my father's household, and my clan is the weakest. Right? This is how he identified himself. He identified himself as someone who's not able.
I was graduating that week, so I forgot.
Yes,
So I
you
don't
were.
know
You were
all this.
completely gone. So you are forgiven, but the rest of you are not.
See, we're having a graduation though.
It's a joke. Calm down. All right. Okay, so back to the Bible. So, if you will save Israel by my hand, as you have said, behold, I am laying a fleece of wool on the threshing floor. If there is dew on the fleece alone, and it is dry on all the ground, then I shall know that you will save Israel by my hand, as you have said. And it was so. When he rose early the next morning and squeezed the fleece, he wrung enough dew from the fleece to fill a bowl with water. Then Gideon said to God, let not your anger burn against me. Let me speak just once more. Please, let me just test once more with the fleece. Please let it be dry on the fleece only, and on all the ground let there be dew. And God did so that night, and it was dry on the fleece only, and on all the ground there was dew. Cool stuff, right? God defying the scientific laws, God moving inside of nature to affect and change the way things normally happen. Cool stuff. And Gideon prayed this faith. Gideon prayed a faith similar to Elijah, calling down fire from heaven, calling down for something to happen that is unbelievable and unreal. And so we see Gideon and we think, yeah, he's getting it. Dude's getting awesome. Things are getting sweet. But it's not. It's an absolute epic fail. All right? Because this is still the same Gideon. He's still full of doubt and fear. Remember, God called him a mighty man of valor. And he's still insufficient. And we'll just see how grand his insufficiency is. So, Jerubbaal, that is Gideon. We're going to read back in chapter 7, verse 1. It says, then Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, and all the people who were with him rose early and encamped beside the spring of Harod. And the camp of Midian was north of them, by the hill of Moreh in the valley. The Lord said to Gideon, the people with you are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hand, lest Israel boast over me, saying, my own hand has saved me. Lest they say, we are a victorious people. Lest they say, we are the greatest nation on earth. You see, God doesn't want them to think they are capable of more than they are. Now, if you remember much of what I said last time, and if you're like me, you hear a statement and you start arguing in your head against the speaker, or you're looking for ways for there to be contradictions, then you might have just noticed one. As I said last time, God wants you to know you are capable of more than you think you are. And this time, I'm saying God doesn't want you to think you are capable of more than you are.
I don't understand. Don't get too cocky.
That's a good way. That's just a little bit of cocky. Not too much, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, contradiction. Yes. Deal with it. Moving on. All right. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So, if we look at Gideon's epic fail, it helps us to understand kind of what I'm saying here. See, Gideon had the right perspective. I don't have what it takes. I don't have enough power. I don't have the authority. I don't have a persuasive personality in order to make people do things or bring about big events of change and all this. So I don't have it. I don't have what it takes. I'm not that person. So he had the right perspective in the sense that he was humble. He understood where his limitations were. The problem was is his doubt was in God's ability to use him. He thought God was just like the Baals, that people of strength do mighty things because that's the will of the gods. People of persuasion lead many people because that's the will of the gods. People of prestige live luxurious lives because that's the will of the gods. We are only what we make ourselves to be because that's the will of the gods. This really isn't much different than the way our culture perceives things. We are only what we make ourselves to be because the universe of chance is all that we have. Gideon doubted God's power. Gideon doubted God's power to be able to take something weak and do something mighty. He doubted God's power to be able to take a city, to make a city out of ruins. And this is why he tested the fleece. This is why he questioned God over and over. Can you do this? Are you able to use me? Why me? Why someone like me? Why would you do this? I don't know if any of you guys ever ask questions like that. Why does God want me to go here? Why does God want me to do this? Why does God want me to read the Bible or talk to people about Christ or do anything in the nature of faith? I'm not someone who's good at speaking, or I'm not someone who's got a confident, persuasive personality, or I'm not this and I'm not that. Why God? Why this? This is where Gideon was. He was doubting God's ability to use him because he had such a negative view. But Gideon does finally get it. He finally believes that God's able to use him. And what it takes to get him there is the epicness of his fail. Chapter 7, starting with verse 9 here. Listen to this. That same night the Lord said to him, "Arise, go down against the camp, for I have given it into your hand. But if you are afraid to go down to the camp with Purah, your servant. And you shall hear what they say, and afterward your hand shall be strengthened to go down against the camp." Then he went down with Purah, his servant, to the outposts of the armed men who were in the camp. And the Midianites and the Amalekites and all the people of the east lay along the valley, like locusts in abundance. And their camels were without number, as the sands that are on the seashore in abundance. When Gideon came, behold, a man was telling a dream to his comrade. And he said, "Behold, I dreamed a dream, and behold, a cake of barley bread tumbled into the camp of Midian, and came to the tent, and struck it so that it fell, and turned it upside down, so that the tent lay flat." And his comrade answered, "This is no other than the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, a man of Israel. God has given into his hand Midian and all the camp." As soon as Gideon heard the telling of the dream and its interpretation, he worshipped. And he returned to the camp of Israel, and he said, "Arise, for the Lord has given the host of Midian into your hand." And he divided 300 men into 3 companies, and put trumpets into the hands of all of them, and empty jars with torches inside the jars. And he said to them, "Look at me, and do likewise. When I come to the outskirts of the camp, do as I do. When I blow the trumpet, I and all who are with me, then blow the trumpets also on every side of the camp, and shout, 'For the Lord and for Gideon.'" And yes, he finally believed. He finally saw it. He finally recognized that God's able to take him and use him and do something mighty. And was it because God proved himself faithful when he took down the Asheroth and said, "I will keep you safe"? Was it when he asked for mighty things and God temporarily suspended the laws of science and did a miracle? Was this when he recognized it? No, it was when he heard a pagan dream and a pagan interpretation. He got excited. Excited enough to change his behavior. Excited enough to change the way he thought about himself. Because he heard the dream of a stranger. Good job. Good job. Epic fail. So that's what they did. What Gideon said to do, they did. They followed. They went up on the hill. They had their glass jars. or I say glass, it was probably ceramic back then. But anyhow, they had their jars, they had their torches, they had their trumpets, and they're up on the hill, and they blow their trumpets, and they shout, and just disarray and panic ensues. The Midianites and the Amalekites start running around, frantic in fear, not knowing what's going on. People are running here and there, and they get so confused that they start attacking each other and killing each other and fighting against each other. And this isn't like some epic, Spartan 300 battle going against tens of thousands of people. They're up there just standing there watching them go crazy down there killing each other. Wow. That's nuts. And they start to flee and they start to run off, and Gideon and his people start to pursue. And they start to chase after. And this is when Gideon starts to come into his own as a leader. He starts to really feel for what it means that God said you're a mighty man of valor. And so he's commanding people and he's telling people what to do. He's sending notifications to other people groups saying, pursue these people over this way. We go this way, that way. And he comes to some people and says, give some bread to my army. And they're like, who are you? So have you already, claimed victory over all these people? I'm not giving you any bread. And Gideon's response, I'll find it real quick so I can read it to you. I will flail your flesh with the thorns of the wilderness and with the briars. What? No bread? I'll whip you with thorns, man! Give me the bread! And they move on. And they go on, and he does what he said he would do. They claim victory, and they get victory over this area. And as he comes back, that's what he does. He finds these people, and he flails their flesh with wild thorns. Good job. So Gideon's really coming into his own. So much so that the people of Israel are starting to feel like he's a true leader. That he can really take their people and do and be, and they can be established and firm. Because you remember what they were doing before? You were here. What were they doing? Hiding in the mountains. Because they kept stealing all their food and they're hiding in holes. And now they've got enough strength. Now they've got enough momentum. They've got enough things going on. They can actually grow their crops where they want to grow them and not be afraid. And so they look at Gideon and they say, "We want you to be our king." And Gideon says, "No."
No. That was so anticlimactic.
Hey, some nice earrings you got there. Why don't you give those to me? And so he takes jewelry, he takes other things that they've collected, and he starts to melt it down, and he creates this ephod. Best we can tell what it is it was something to discern what God's will is, like casting lots, or like what Gideon did with the fleece. If it's dry, that means you this way, or if it's not dry, that means this way. So that's what the ephod had, little things they would spin on it, and they would do stuff, and they would, that means so that's what it was. It started to become a trap, it started to become a snare, a stumbling block for Gideon and for the people of Israel. And the reason that was is because here they now have this ephod, and it would tell them what God wants. But Gideon would start to set the parameters, saying, okay, here's what we need to know, either this or this. So Gideon would say, okay, God, which way are we going to go? We're going to go this way or this way? And God's like, well, Gideon, I'm going over here. I know, but this way or this way? Which one? No, take that one. Going this way. And so Gideon's setting parameters of trying to control God. See where I'm going with this? Feeling it now?
I have the shirt now.
of trying to control God, of trying to say, okay, this is what we want. You tell us which one. Because we want something in here, so you tell us which way to go. Or this is the things, and this is the nations we want to be, or this is how we want to live our lives, or this is what we want to accomplish. And so they would set parameters, and they'd say, God, you answer us in this realm here. God's like, no. I want all of you. Don't just try to give me a piece. Don't just try to give me a part. Don't just try to give me your home, your life at home. Don't just try to give me your life at school. Don't just try to give me your life with your friends. I want all of it. I want all of it. And so Gideon's trying to control God. Gideon's trying to set parameters around what he wants God to answer. And the nation of Israel are doing the same thing. They're looking to Gideon and saying, yes, let's keep doing this. Let's keep going what we've got. And they're all trusting in this. And this ephod actually became an idol. Something they could use to control God. And it became a stumbling block. So much so that to Gideon and Israel, God was no different than Baal. Look at 8:33. As soon as Gideon died, the people of Israel turned again and whored after the Baals and made Baal-berith their god. There was no difference to them. The God of the Bible, the God of the Hebrews, Yahweh, was no different than Baal. Someone that they could look to and say, okay, here's what I want. Help me make this happen. Help me make this get done. Help me do the things that I want to do. Help me live the life that I want to live. And this is what they looked for. This is what they wanted. This is why Baal was so precious to them. That they would turn. As soon as Gideon died, as soon as their leader died, who said, yes, we want to follow Yahweh, they're like, okay, back to Baal. Because either way, we're doing what we want. It's just a name change. They trusted not in God, they trusted in themselves. Gideon trusted in himself. When Gideon was doubtful and afraid, and thinking that he couldn't handle anything, he didn't do anything. Because he trusted only in himself. When God changed his mind and said, I can make you someone great, I can turn you into someone fantastic, and Gideon finally believed it, guess what Gideon did? He did great things. He did fantastic things, but he still trusted only in himself. He still did whatever he wanted to do. He still accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. He didn't look to God. He didn't entrust everything to God. Gideon looked to himself. And Gideon's life was a ruin. God is the one to depend on because he is dependent. Yahweh is the one to rely on because he is reliable. Jesus is the one to trust in because he is trustworthy. We are but ruins. Thanks be to God that Jesus is the Lord of the ruins. Before I pray, I didn't know if I was going to do this or not, but I'm feeling the need to. Lord of the Ruins. This has been the theme of this section. This is what we're looking at. As we see time and time again, Israel returns. They do evil in the sight of the Lord. They return to Baal. They worship Baal. This pattern. They get conquered. They get oppressed. They come back. A judge comes. A judge helps them. It helps them find safety and freedom and these things. And they follow the judge. But the judge is just as messed up as Israel was. And that was me. When I was in high school, I knew enough about God to believe in his existence. I knew enough about God that I believed he had a plan for me, that I believed that he had to have something. But similar to Gideon, I didn't think I was good enough to hear it. I didn't think I was good enough to be a part of what God had. And so I would look to myself to try to figure things out. I would look to myself to try to understand. And my life literally became a ruins. Through different circumstances, I started to view everything as unimportant. All of life became gray. There was no point, there was no purpose, there was no reason for any of my existence. I believed that other people could have purpose and find it, but that I didn't, and I was done. I didn't want any part of it anymore, and I wanted to throw in the towel. And I've shared some of this before, but I'm going to share it again. I looked for ways, and I longed for ways for everything to be done. I would stand out in the field, and I would plead to God to just take my life, because I didn't want it anymore. I was done with it. My stepfather had guns, and I would think of ways to take the guns and end my life. And I had heard stories about how if sometimes you get put in a coma, and I'm like, I don't want that either. I want to make sure it's done. So I came up with a plan with 2 guns to make sure that it was final and it was done and I was over. Because I didn't want anything to do with it. And I cried out over and over for God to take me because I was in ruins. Praise be to God and thank be to God that what I asked for, He didn't give me. Instead of giving me death, He gave me life. And I now see a purpose in Him. I now see a plan in Him. I take this stuff serious. Because without it, I'm nothing. Because God is the Lord of the ruins. And as messed up as any of your lives may be, as struggles that you face, God is bigger than all of that. God can bring us through all of that. And God is looking for you to come with Him. So I urge any of you in here, if you have yet to give all, if you're only given pieces, if you're only given portions, that's what I gave. That's what I was doing. That was the game I was playing. I put on a show when I go to church and do my own thing at home. My life was in ruins. I'm serious. I had an inappropriate relationship with a girl. We did things we weren't supposed to be doing, shouldn't be doing. She was worried that she was going to get pregnant. I told her, if you pray and have faith enough, God will take care of that. You know how ridiculous that is? You know how self-centered and self-focused that is? That's what I'm saying. That's what's my life is. I put God in this little spot. And my life was ruins. If you haven't done that yet, if you haven't given Him all, then I urge you, talk with Brian. Talk with Kate. And get that in. Pray with me. Lord Jesus, I thank you so much for who you are. That despite how much I've messed things up, Lord, you still love me. You still have grace for me. You still sought after me to come to you. And I praise you and thank you. And I will forever be grateful. Lord, I ask that you empower these people here. Lord, I ask that you would work in their lives, that you would speak truth into their life, that they would know who you are intimately day in and day out. And their focus, their all, will be given to you, Lord. Lord, I love you. I thank you. It's in your name we pray, Lord Jesus.